Hey, 420 MSP. We are back with Dr. Seaborn. How you doing? Little time off from teaching? It's summertime.
That's right. Nice to see you, Harry, and nice to be looking forward to a great summer.
Absolutely. Busy times. I am interested in getting your take on the recent issue of Marijuana Venture. Not surprisingly, they're covering industry consolidation, Tilray and Aphria, and then also Trulieve and Harvest Health. It seems like the conversation is accelerating with respect to consolidation. What's your take? What's going on out there?
Yeah, that's a great question, Harry. And I think the first thing to point out is there have been so many obstacles to any sort of consolidation early on in the legal history in the states. Many states only allowed in-state residents and in-state companies to be part of their industry. So that made it hard for a multi-state company to really grow. And then it was really hard to raise funds because even if you're very successful, if you want to acquire someone else and roll into a bigger company, you often need some interim financing. Plus just the ongoing federal risks. So those things were holding consolidation back, and they're just starting to now break the ice a little bit. And I think the biggest one would be a little more openness to multi-state operators as new states start to legalize. They're not opposed. In many cases, they feel more comfortable if a proven company that's operated in another state that maybe has some good references from that state's regulator is going to be their first company in their state. Hey, we're not quite so worried that we don't know who this is or what they're going to do. So I think that's coming. And then obviously, each time there's a new state that legalizes, the market grows. There's that potential that you can take what you learned in Pennsylvania and bring it to New Jersey. Take what you learned in Colorado, bring it to Virginia or whatever. So I think this is a pretty natural thing. I'm not
It
surprised by
is.
any means. But I think, Henry, a real interesting question then is how far will consolidation go, right? If we looked at maybe we legalized nationally, will we end up with only 4 or 5 or 10 major cannabis companies that dominate the entire country, or will there be a more mixed bouquet of big and small and everything else? And I think on that question, it's early days, but I would still expect that we'll have a whole variety, just like we do, let's say, in the beer market, right? We kind of had a period in if you look back in history, 50s, 60s, 70s, there was actually pretty amazingly consolidated, not a lot of these craft niche providers, but we kind of got back to a happy medium now where, yes, there's Budweiser and the big multinationals, but you turn a corner in any state these days, there's a brewery propping up a local craft supplier. And so I think that's probably a more likely end point for the cannabis industry. Again, the wine industry has that same flavor and others. One extreme, you get a consumer product like, automobile or, diapers. There's not really, 1,000 flowers blooming in those markets. But I think in cannabis, we're not going to get to that extreme by any means. So, this is a real polarizing issue. Some people feel great that, we're getting these larger companies. They feel like there's some sense of, responsibility and scale and kind of it's what they're familiar with in other industries. Other people are kind of worried about this becoming big cannabis and losing its grassroots nature. But I think if you looked at the number of mergers, how big the big companies are, they're still pretty small. And so I think this is probably just a healthy, natural thing, and we'll hopefully get to some sort of balance over time.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like concentrated markets in general because my reputation and my career was built on small and medium business, right? So I come from an audience that naturally is a little disturbed when there's like 5 players
Yeah.
in my past life in the MSP market, and there used to be hundreds. And Paul is a publisher in my old business model. That's also the kiss of death. When there's that much consolidation, they only need one full page ad. They don't need 5 ads, right?
That's right.
So,
Yeah. But you think about what are the things that allow an industry to get to that extreme, right? If you're making database software and you're the market leader and you have different price points and different offerings for different customer sets, you probably can corner a huge part of the market nationally, internationally, right? It kind of pushes out those smaller players. But an agricultural product that needs a lot of processing, that has to be shipped from place to place, it doesn't just get uploaded and downloaded, that alone keeps scale down a little bit. And it really, I guess in the end, is going to come down to the customers, the recreational customers, the medical customers. What do they want? Do they want variety? Do they want to support local or in-state or the Pacific Northwest or the South or whatever. And if they do, then there'll always be a market for smaller firms, and consolidation will not go as far.
Yeah. Final thoughts. The other thing about consolidation is in concentration that bugs me would be, I'll call it biodiversity for lack of a better thing. And you laid it out pretty well with the beer market. I'm not a big beer drinker, but when I do have a beer, it's a craft dark beer, right? I like just kind of sampling those things, but I'm not a beer guy. And thank goodness we have that biodiversity back in that industry, right? Because there's just some really cool little finds at these little breweries. Any thoughts on that? Because that concerns me that maybe we need to send seeds to Antarctica and put them way deep in the ice, right, to maintain diversity.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned with that because we're still discovering so much about the cannabis plant and all its amazing properties, how it can be processed into different forms. So if anything, I would expect we'll have much more diversity of products than we do. Even, beer in itself is kind of a narrower definition than what we're seeing in cannabis. We have beverages, we have edibles, we have skin creams, all sorts of vaporized products, right? So that's almost a grocery store of products in itself. So from a consumer point of view, no, I don't see the same kind of risk of getting down to, hey, we just have these 3 options on the shelf and you just pick A, B, or C. And then also you have the distinction between the medical side and other uses. And so again, that provides another level of variation. So yeah, I think it's something to watch for. And certainly in a new market, a really established, strong, out-of-state entrant can disrupt that market and really change the whole feel of it. And I have a lot of appreciation for people who really want to make sure that new markets get off to the right start, that they bring in diverse participants. They don't just kind of copy over what another neighboring state had and end up with the exact same products, brands, storefronts, cultivation style. But again, on the whole spectrum of where we could be, I think we're still, in a really small growing industry, not at like monopoly concerns or anything like that. So.
Cool. All right. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Paul.
No problem, Harry. Have a great one.